Have you ever thought about your own death? More importantly, have you ever thought about what happens to your consciousness when you die? What happens to your brain when you just log out? Have you thought about that? Well, that's the starting point of Elif Shafak's 11th novel, 10 minutes, 38 seconds in this strange world. This is a novel that has just been longlisted for this year's Booker Prize. And what it means is that, according to Elif Shafak, soon after you die, it takes about 10 minutes and 38 seconds for the brain to die completely. So in that time, you have a chance to ruminate on your life. That's the premise. Now, I have a friend who's a neurologist. I had a discussion with him earlier this evening. Now, in this video, what's going to happen is this. A few minutes ago, I got a text message from Amazon. I ordered a book, and they just delivered it to the nearest pickup point. So I'm going to go and collect it. And I want you to come with me. Let's go and have fun. And then we're going to come back, open the box, have a discussion about the superficial stuff to do with the hardback copy. But more importantly, then we're going to talk about a lot of important issues to do with Elif Shafak, and also about whether it's really possible that when we die, we get about 10 seconds, or no, we get about 10 minutes to contemplate, ruminate about our life. Can that be possible? Stay with me. More importantly, just come along. Let's come along. Let's go. Elif Shafak is already one of the most important novelists in the world, but with this novel she might go to the next higher level. Let's see. Let's open this. Let's see what my first impressions are going to be. Let's open this. Let's see. Nice little, wow, it's a beautiful, wow, this is just beautiful. Julian Barnes, when he won the Man Booker Prize in 2011, said how important the physical book is, and I think this is a reminder. Beautiful cover, and I love the quality of this paper. Right, good print, so far so good. It's absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to read this. Now please stay on this channel, and because I'll be talking in detail about Elif Shafak. What a great start. What a great opening. What a great first sentence. What a great first page. Now, openings are really important. More about that later. If you're new to my channel, I am Samuel Durham. I'm a playwright. My last play, Taylor Swift's Dog, won a major competition in England, and he went on a tour all across England last summer with performances in Cheltenham, Buxton and London. And the play Taylor Swift's Dog is about corruption within publishing. The story starts in 1997 with the publication of the first Harry Potter novel and ends in June 2018 with its 21st anniversary. The protagonist is Yasmina, a British Muslim girl who wants to be the next J.K. Rowling, and it's about two literary agents from two different demographic groups. And the whole play is really a satire about how corrupt publishing is. Now, I make videos right now on YouTube for my ideal viewer. My ideal viewer is one of three things. Firstly, you are an apprentice novelist, screenwriter, or a playwright. Secondly, you love reading novels, screenplays for feature films, pilot scripts, plays, poems, biographies, and books. And thirdly, and most importantly, you are passionate about self-improvement. You don't want to be the same. You have a vision of the person you want to be, and you want to do everything you can every day to become that person. So everything that I do is all about giving value in terms of information, education, entertainment, and inspiration. So if you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much. You really do have an excellent sense of judgment and exquisite taste. Now, those two qualities are really important to appreciate the novels of Elif Shafak. right? Excellent sense of judgment and an exquisite taste, because this is going to require it. I have read some of her other novels. They are amazing and thought-provoking. Now, let's get the superficial stuff out of the way. The cover is just beautiful. Of all the 13 novels that are longlisted for this year's Booker Prize, I think this one has the most beautiful cover. It has the most apt cover. What do you think? The title, 10 minutes, 38 seconds in this strange world. I love it. What do you think? Do you like long titles? It reminds me of a book, although that's not a novel, a heartbreaking work of a staggering genius, and also The Curious Incident of a Dog in a Nighttime. Think about long titles, they can be poetic, it sounds good, and I think this is apt. And I think if you read further, you know why the title has to be long. The quality of the paper, I'm also quite particular about that, but this one has fairly good quality. I have a minor issue with the size of the font and the type of the font. My first reactions was that it looked good, but now as I started to read, I realized it is a bit small. I wish they had gone for the one that Bloomsbury used for Lincoln in the Bardo, the hardcover. That's a beautiful font. But otherwise, this is just a minor issue. There are lots of positives to this. This novel is about 96,000 words, 320 pages. And I think that's just right for a novel of this time. Compared to some of the other novels that are more experimental, seems like a more conventional feat of storytelling. And I like that. I prefer that. And the novel is dedicated to the women of Istanbul, more importantly, the city of Istanbul, that Elif Shafak calls it the She City. And the epigraph, the epigraph is the one that gives a hint of what is to come about the novel, and also about the title. The epigraph comes from Einstein, and there's a great phrase here. I love how master novelists use epigraphs to illuminate certain aspects of a novel. And Elif Shafak uses a brilliant one here. That comes from Einstein. He says, "Now he has again preceded me a little in parting from this strange world. This has no importance. For people like us who believe in physics, the separation between past, present, and future has only the importance of an admittedly tenacious illusion." Tenacious illusion is a really good phrase. Now, this is where we should be a little bit pedantic and discuss whether it is really possible that when we die, we might get about 10 minutes to have a little rumination about what we like. Now, I spoke to my friend, a neurologist. He's also a screenwriter. That's how I got to know him. And I remember when I first met him, we were talking about Christopher Nolan, and he's funny. He's a really funny guy. And he's good at analyzing things. So I thought when I started to read this, I thought he's the guy to call. And what Abu said is that it's not really possible, right? And in layman's terms, when you have a brain death, you also have the main death. And he said it's not really credible or plausible that when a body dies, the brain dies with it. And it just too unbelievable that you might get 10 minutes. Even if you do get a few seconds, that's it, few seconds. Now, if you're a neurologist, you may like to disagree with my friend, but I, at the same time, I don't think we should be too pedantic. It's fun to speculate about it, but it's a good premise. It's nothing original about it. I mean, we already had narrators or protagonists in novels and films who die and then they go back and think about their lives. I mean, when I started to read it, I thought about Alan Ball's great screenplay for American Beauty, which won the Oscar, and the great film. The start of the film, Lester Burnham, the protagonist, thinks about his own death, and he talks about the fact that in a way I'm all dead already, and he then reflects on his life. American Beauty is in many ways a dramatized rumination of Lester Burnham's life, and this is in many ways a literary rumination of the protagonist's life. Apart from Alan Ball's great screenplay, I thought the opening has a lot of similarities with another great novel, the one by Nabokov, Lolita. And I'm not just talking about the simplistic ways. For example, the main character in both novels, their names start with the letter L and ends with the letter A, Lolita and Layla. It's not just that, but it's the way a character is introduced. It is poetic. And more importantly, both novels are about moral transgressions, moral uncertainties, and moral question marks. When I first read Lolita, I felt awkward, but at the same time I was completely enchanted by Nabokov's sublime use of the English language. Now, when I was reading 10 Minutes, I couldn't say, I won't say the same about Elif Shafak's use of the English language, which is not entirely poetic or sublime. It's not on the same level of Nabokov, but I was completely enchanted by the storytelling. Already I'm about 20 pages in, and I know that I want to stop doing everything I can and get back to the novel, and I want to finish it within a few days, because she's got me, and that's her great strength. So who is Elif Shafak? Well, Elif Shafak was born on the 25th of October 1971 in Strasbourg in France. But when she was 10 years old, her mother moved her to Turkey, and her mother became a diplomat. So that meant that Elif Shafak was able to travel and stay in lots of different parts of the world, especially Spain and Jordan. And in terms of astrology, Elif Shafak was born under the sign of Scorpio. And she, as someone who was born on the 25th of October, she shares a birthday with a really interesting, great novelist, Anne Tyler. Yes, Anne Tyler and Elif Shafak shares the same birthday. And there are many other good signs coming up for Elif Shafak. For example, at least 2 novelists who are Scorpios have won the Booker Prize. For example, in 2008, Aravinda Adiga won it for The White Tiger. He's a Scorpio. And then in the last century, Kazuo Ishiguro won it for The Remains of the Day. He too is a Scorpio. But Scorpios have produced many other good and great novelists and screenwriters. For example, Leanne Moriarty, Maggie Stiefvater, Don Winslow, Joe Lansdale, Neil Stephenson, Emma Donoghue, and they also, one of my favorite TV shows in England was House of Cards, the original version. That one was created by Michael Dobbs. He's a Scorpio. And the US version, made for Netflix, is created by Bo Williman. And he's a Scorpio. So Scorpios have a really good track record, especially with the Booker Prize. And Scorpios are usually very secretive people. They're very intense, determined, passionate. And the fascinating thing about them is that of all the 12 signs, Scorpios are the ones who are really obsessed with sex. Yes, you heard that right, sex. But they won't show it, because this goes back to their secretive nature. And isn't it fascinating that this novel is about a sex worker, and she's using sex to look at a lot more intense and troubled aspects of the history of Turkey. But it all goes back to Scorpio's fascination with looking at the body, looking at life through sex. Whenever I get a brand new book, one of my favorite sections in a book is this part that says by the same author. And when I look at it, for example, whenever I get a new novel by Anne Tyler, Joyce Carol Oates, or Margaret Atwood, that's the page I look at first, because it's just to remind me of how prolific and impressive those novelists are. Joan Updike was like that as well, and Philip Roth and Saul Bellow as well. So with this one, this says a lot. This is her 11th novel. I really do believe in Malcolm Gladwell's theory of 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. And here is a novelist who has put in all that and then some. And I have read some of her novels, for example, The Bastard of Istanbul and The 40 Rules of Love. Now, if you're new to Elif Shafak, I recommend that you start with this one. And I think one of the great things about the Booker Prize is that it has given readers novelists that we wouldn't have come across otherwise. For example, this year, for me, it was Lucy Ellmann. And I think for many people, it could be Elif Shafak. Even before this novel, Elif Shafak was widely read in Britain and the United States. But I think the Booker Prize will give it to a larger audience or a larger readership. And that's a good thing. So if you want to start, I really recommend you start with this one. And then you can go on to some of her other novels. And in the description below, I'm going to put a link to some of those novels. She has also written a lot of interesting non-fiction books as well. Before Elif Shafak, whenever I thought of Turkey, the novelist that I thought about was Orhan Pamuk. You might already be familiar with him, famous for novels like Snow, and he won the Nobel Prize for Literature. I would like to compare him with Elif Shafak because it's partly to do with what something that John Updike says in his book of essays. Now, Updike says the thing about Orhan Pamuk was that until the age of 30, he had a really comfortable life. So he was able to carry out his apprenticeship as a novelist by just staying at home, going to the library, reading a lot and writing a lot because he came from a wealthy family. He never had to have a day job. So that enabled him to have this really erudite mind, which then went on to write a lot of great novels. Elif Shafak, interestingly, her life wasn't that simple. Now, she has a day job as an academic. She has taught in countries like the USA, UK, and Turkey. But there are also some similarities. For example, both novelists have been criticized and tormented by the Turkish government. And in 2006, Elif Shafak was in a lot of trouble with the Turkish government. Those of us who are living in the United States or UK, we're lucky that we can write about whatever we want to. We don't have to worry about governments coming in and telling us you can't write this, you can't write that. But even though Elif Shafak lives in London, she's still under threat by some extremists in Turkey and also by the Turkish government. And I think this is something else that makes her novels more urgent. Now, I will be making a detailed video about this novel. And until mid-October, I'll also be making lots of videos to do with the Booker Prize. So please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing and for watching my videos. I want to leave you with a really beautiful sentence from Elif Shafak's previous novel, The 40 Rules of Love, which goes, "Try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you." Just think about that.